8 years ago, I came this close to giving it all away and burning out. It wasn't until I actually met a Buddhist monk in Thailand on my journey across the world that I was able to finally pull it back together, avoid burning out, and create the routine that would eventually keep me going for years all the way to the success that I am now. I'm putting this video in here, guys, because everything on your entrepreneurial journey is not going to be roses and sunshine. There is going to be a lot of stressful situations, a lot of things where you're going to stay up all night long stressing out about all the things that you have worrying you, that you're carrying around on your shoulders that everybody around you might not know. They might think you're an overnight success. They might see all the wins that you're sharing on social media, and they might not know about the giant account that you just lost, all of the stress of your employees, all of the people who want raises that you won't be able to fund unless your sales really come together. The platform shutting down your biggest source of revenue and you not having another way to go. All of the things that most people who don't run a business, who aren't on this entrepreneurial journey with you, are going to understand. One of these exact things happened to me while I was traveling the world. We were traveling Europe and Thailand about 8 years ago, and on this trip, at this time, I lost 3 of my biggest marketing agency clients all at once. Each one was individually paying me anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000, and it cut my revenue by 80% at that time. 80%, guys. I can clearly remember it being inside of the room, having had the call for some reason all in 1 week. And if you've ever run an SMMA marketing agency or any kind of business, you'll know, fluctuations happen, but there's always certain times a year where people will cut the cord. Well, they'll start to fire people. And for me, it was all at once while I was across the world. I remember when I started this trip, I was on top of the world. I had lots of money. I had a decent amount of savings. I had a couple of employees running stuff back home. I figured I could do it. It turned out to be a lot more stressful than I thought it was going to be, running things from that side of the world with the time zones and all that, but I still thought I could do it. And about halfway through my trip, this happened. One call, lost a client. I said, okay, well, that's fine. We'll go get some more. But then within that week, I lost 2 more, and I still had over a month. I travel for months at a time. Normally, I just got back right now from Italy. I was there for a month and a half. But on this trip, I still had a month left to go. Then I lost 80% of my revenue. I started stressing out about how am I even going to pay all of these new employees that I have? How am I going to acquire new business when I'm halfway across the world, when I'm in a completely different time zone? And these are going to be stresses that you guys will run into consistently throughout your entrepreneurial journey, and you have to be mentally prepared for them. At the time, I wasn't really. But one thing I did do a lot since I was even younger than this was meditate. I used to be a little bit of an angry kid. I got into a lot of fights when I was younger. And so at some point right around 19, I started to meditate to try and control that anger, to calm myself down. So I started to think maybe I could use this now, because if I don't do something, the mental stress and the burnout that is approaching because of all of this is going to cause the entire thing, my dream, my business, to collapse. And I wanted to avoid that. What I ended up doing, and this is while I was in Chiang Mai inside of Thailand, was I went out and I went to a couple of different local Buddhist areas. And at one of those places, I found this guy right here. And the lesson that I learned from him was something that I took away from it and actually really helped me not only stabilize my mindset, but save my business. When I meditated a lot before, when I used to practice, it was all about trying to do the thing that most people do, which is sit there and clear your brain. Get rid of all the thoughts, good, bad, negative, positive. Empty your brain so that you can calm the mind and da. This monk actually taught me the way to truly do this is to stop fighting against your own mind. Stop trying to empty the mind by fighting off different thoughts and pushing everything back. Instead, allow yourself to enter a flow state. Allow each thought to just reach its natural end, and eventually your mind will clear itself and the path will become obvious on how to go forward. Now, I spent, a few hours with this monk in particular, and afterwards, I was really able to implement a lot of this towards my own business, my own thoughts, and able to apply that in a way that I'm going to tell you about in a second. But it was understanding what he said and the generosity of allowing him to give me his time and to show me this kind of way that really allowed me to take that first step. A first step I never would have been able to take if it wasn't for, the fact of where I was, which is just, Thailand in general, guys, is some of the absolute best, most accommodating, friendliest people you can possibly find. Highly recommend going to check that out. So why I bring this up is because I clearly remember the Airbnb we were staying at. The lady there heard, that I was stressing out and that I talked to this Buddhist monk, and she actually gave me her vehicle. This was a moped. And said, don't bother renting one, and here's exactly where you go, and you can go up here, and there's more English-speaking monks up there, and you can tell them the story, and they'll help you out. And so I was able to use that moped to go up. It was about a 30-minute drive into the mountains, and I spent an entire day, morning all the way to night, with these Buddhist monks. A couple of them in specific really helped me apply this knowledge that I just learned the other day to my meditation techniques to really calm my mind and clear my brain out and really just get this information across. But they also told me about how this can be applied to life. When you have stressful situations in your business, or you have stressful situations outside of your business, and you're constantly fighting them, and all your thoughts are around putting out the fires in that moment, it creates more stress. But if you just take those situations and understand that this is happening, whether you like it or not, similar to the thoughts in your brain, and you simply play it out and do your best to solve them and move on to the next, see 1 or 2 steps ahead, you can really create better outcomes. And so for me, I was able to apply that to business. I came back, obviously one part of this was I came back with a very clear mind. And I'm going to go into in a second about how that specific thing changed my whole life. Because when I came home, I implemented an entire routine as an entrepreneur that's held me in almost perfect mental health for the remaining decade that I've had. It keeps me from burning out because I follow this specific routine. And this meditation day and a half really caused me to have such a clear thinking mind that I was able to immediately get back. I restructured. Unfortunately, I did have to let one guy go. I restructured to have a more specific focus on sales at the time. And when we went out and got more business, which we did pretty much within the next week, we didn't recoup all of it right away, but I was able to leverage what we had saved up, reduce our staff a little bit, and create a situation where we weren't so heavily reliant on a couple of major clients. We were able to accumulate a handful of clients to replace each one, diversifying and allowing us to build what I always talk about, which is raising the floor. Right. One of my lessons here was when I teach a lot of these classes, and if you look around on this YouTube channel that you're on right now, there's a whole bunch of different master classes and stuff that teach this, which is don't chase higher highs, but instead set lower lows for your mental health. And if you are interested in that kind of stuff, you want to watch these kind of videos more, shameless plug right here, click that subscribe button below so that you can see these. We drop these videos every single week. So applying that knowledge led me to the rest of the month. By the time I got home, we weren't back at where we were revenue-wise. We were still quite a bit down. But the restructuring had slowly allowed me to raise the floor, reduce some of my expenses, and be in a mental state that allowed me not to burn out. And a big part of that was spending an entire day meditating. I spent every single day for the rest of that trip, I meditated for at least 30 minutes a day. And when I got back, I wanted to never end up in that mental state ever again. I wanted to make sure, absolutely sure, that I would not burn out and I would not lose, my dream, which was this business. And a lot of you are probably right now sitting there watching this video stressed out. Something in your business, in your life is causing your stress levels to rise. And that makes you reactionary, right? Reactive instead of proactive. What happened from me spending a day in the mountains and getting that cleared out in my head, right, was that I was now being immediately proactive. Instead of freaking out and coming close to burnout and wondering what am I going to do and freaking out, I was able to reduce those stress levels, think clearly, and move on. And I've also learned that since then, using my routine, I never think better than when I take a full day off. The productivity I would have by working all day without taking that day off and doing what I'm about to tell you would never be as much as it is even for 2 hours after coming out. So when I came back with all of these realizations, knowing all of this stuff, I knew I had to put something into place to focus on, my mental routine to make sure that I never burn out and never come that close to giving up, frankly, ever again. So what I implemented was 3 things. 1, I live in Vancouver, BC, so we're very close to a place called Whistler. I'm sure you've heard of it. And up there is a spa that takes your phone, and it's got hot tubs outside, cold tubs outside, and lets you just no noise, no phone, absolute silence. You're not allowed to talk. You're outside. You're in the mountains. And they put you through a relaxing routine. I will go there once a month or every 2 months, and I will stay there from 9 a.m. literally until like 6 p.m. all day long to clear my head. I have had some of my best multi-million-dollar ideas immediately after coming out of that place. Absolutely phenomenal. Second thing I will do is I meditate every single day. I used to turn on my phone right away, look at it. Because once you get to a certain point, you have a certain amount of clients, you have a certain amount of students, employees, etc. There's always going to be a fire on this device. There's always going to be something going wrong. And if you want to not wake up in a bad place, then don't look at your phone. What I do is I don't look at my phone for the first hour and a half. I don't want to deal with the fires. I go upstairs to my roof. I meditate for 20-ish to 30 minutes every single day. I read a little bit in the morning, and then I start my day. Then all of these fires on here seem far less of an issue than they would have had I just flipped right over and gone right to the phone in the first place. And finally, the third thing that I do is I go and I get a vitamin IV every single month. And then after the vitamin IV, I will go to a sensory deprivation tank and meditate in there for 60 minutes. And I'm not saying you guys have to do these things. That's quite a bit. But if in any one of these things, or a couple of these things, or anything that you might like to do, like, for instance, yoga, working out, going for runs, whatever it is that calms your mind, that allows your cortisol levels, stress hormones, all of that stuff to lower so that you can think clearly and avoid stress, avoid burnout. When these problems come up, they will seem much less stressful and you'll be able to simply take the next move. One thing that I've really taken away from all of this as an entrepreneur is that the people who are successful in business as an entrepreneur oftentimes are the ones that handle the stress, the problems, the ups and downs better than the other person. Because no matter what you see on social media, on the highlight reels and on everything else, entrepreneurship, owning a business, any of this stuff is not easy. It's not going to be all millions of dollars, all kinds of wins all the time. A lot of the time, you're going to be hit in the face. You're going to be knocked down. And you need to be able to have something in place that keeps your head in the right place to be able to proceed and make the right decision. So hopefully, guys, this video has been helpful. If it has helped you at all, please do two things for me. One, leave some comments down below with your biggest takeaways, not only for myself to see that people are actually watching this and it's worth my time doing, but also for yourself so that you can properly digest the information and get your notes out there on a place where you know that in that moment you've put them out so you have these kind of takeaways. Number two, if you have any questions whatsoever about my experience or how it might apply to you or anything else I could do, put that in the comments as well, and I'll be happy to monitor and answer any questions. And then number three, of course, if you like this video and you like other ones like it, you want to see some trainings on how to acquire clients for your digital business, launch a digital business, or understand the stress points of entrepreneurship in general, just like in this video, all you have to do is smash the subscribe button that is directly below this video, and we actually put these out every single week. We put out shorts, I think, daily, and then these long videos at least once per week, perhaps even more frequently as the year goes on. Otherwise, guys, I very much appreciate you for spending your time with me today, and I'll see you out there on the next one. Bye.